Hi, and welcome to another exciting episode of the Andre The Beast Crayton Show. Today, another outstanding show. Imagine for a moment, if you will, trials and tribulations coming into your life, the loss of your son's father, and the impact that it had on him and yourself, going back to school to revamp, let's call it what it is, revamp your dreams. And on top of that, walking the path to what you've always wanted to do. Today on the show, we have a young lady that has done just that. Truly overcome a lot of obstacles, truly has achieved what some might say is the impossible, and is still walking in her calling. Let's call it what it is. I'd like to welcome to the show my hometown girl. My hometown girl, all the way from Albany, GA, Georgia, the one, the only Jennifer West. Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
Check this out. It wasn't until the pre-interview that we find out we're both from the same hometown, Albany, GA. How long have you been in Albany, Georgia?
For most of my life, I moved away actually when I graduated from high school for a couple of years, and I moved right back.
What high school did you attend there?
Monroe Comprehensive High School.
Yeah, the Tornadoes.
Yeah, the Golden Tornadoes.
Golden Tornadoes. You know what? Tell the viewers a little about who Jennifer West is before we get into your story.
Okay. I'm a plain little hometown country girl. I've been through a lot, but I try to bounce back. I try to be a good mom. I have 2 adult sons. I just, just living life. I once wanted to be a model, and life happened and I wasn't able to pursue it. But with that still being said, I'm still doing my photo shoots, still doing my different things that I do. Sometimes I go to Atlanta and I'm invited, and I go do a couple of fashion shows. So I still do a little bit here and there, and I still interact with the young lady that I model for.
Now, let's get deep for a moment.
Okay.
You have a son that hasn't put you through a lot, but you've gone through some pain and suffering with him as he was trying to, or in the process of reconnecting with his father, and he wound up losing his father. What was that? Yeah. Walk me down what that was like for you and him in the loss of your son's father and the impact that it had.
Oh my God. Because prior to this, he was a young man that had a life, that worked. He had a vehicle, had a girlfriend, what the young people basically do. He had a life. But when that happened, when his dad passed away, I saw him slowly just start drifting away, just not being himself, just not, I know my child, and he was not acting like the child I know who he is. So with that being said, I'm still, working with him, but he's adjusting. He's adjusting, so he's doing much better.
What was his, did he have a relationship with his father? Because you mentioned that it started to tear him apart because he was just starting to connect with his father. What was the disconnection between the two, and did you see it?
Oh, yes, sir. What it was, his dad wasn't in his life for several years. And when he tried to come back in his life, because they reconnected, they started talking on the phone, making arrangements, to meet one another, because he lived in Atlanta, but they were going to, get together. But something happened. He actually went to his job, and he I think had some back pain or something. They gave him some medication. He lapsed in a coma. He didn't ever come out of the coma. So that hurt him. and because he was really wanting, have a real relationship with his dad. And they only had phone contact and, those things of nature. He was in the process of trying to make, come and see him. And that happened. Mhm.
What was the reason that I know you mentioned he was in Atlanta and you guys
Mhm.
young, but what was the reason that he wasn't a part of his life and came back into his life later?
Because at first his dad was incarcerated for a couple of years, and my son had anger toward him. So when he did reconnect, he wouldn't talk to him on the phone or anything. And so I began to talk to him and everything, but I knew that was a decision he had to make to want to, reconnect. But he finally, wanted to meet his dad. And when his dad, was free and he started doing well and he had already established himself in Atlanta, he had a good job, and he was trying to, connect back with him
How
before
long
all this.
how long was he incarcerated from
I want to say about a good 5 years, I want to say, because during the time when when my son knew about him, he really didn't want to connect with him.
Mhm.
So he did, because he would always call me or find a way to get in touch with me, and he always asked about him, but he didn't want to talk to him.
Was he there part of the birth? Did you know,
No, no, sir, he
he,
was not there.
but he knew of him.
Yes, he knew of him. He did come. He knew of him, and when he had a chance, he was trying to connect back with him. But when he was not able to be there, he actually had his brother and wife to come down, and they brought some things for him,
Mhm.
and everything. So I was grateful that he, had family members to come and bring things and comfort, and was just came to see him.
You said that he was incarcerated for 5 years of time. Um,
Mhm.
did he go visit him or he didn't want to visit him? What you
No,
said
he
he
didn't
really
want to
got
go
angry.
visit.
Pardon me?
No, he didn't want to go visit because he really didn't want to talk to him at all. It wasn't until I think about he passed in 2019. I want to say in 2017 is when he started coming around and wanted to talk to him. And when he was able to, come and see him, he was about to be prior to the accident at work when he was, lapsed in a coma. He hurt his back, and they gave him some medication and he lapsed in a coma. And that was that. So after that, when he stayed in a coma for a good while, then they gave up on him. So we weren't able to see him because we were going to try to go see him, but he had passed away when we got there.
You mentioned a term period of incarceration, another
Mm-hmm.
termination, a distance that he wasn't there during the what I might call the primitive years, 1 through whatever the age
Mm-hmm.
bracket is. You notice that your
Mm-hmm.
son was having a difficult time dealing with this. About what age did he really start dealing, the absence of his father? About what age did you start noticing a transformation in his character?
I would say, oh my gosh, she passed away that in 2019. I want to say about a couple of months after that, I saw him just not be himself. Start, not doing what young men do, not caring about how he looked, different things like that. That I know he always was a good dresser,
Mhm.
believe in keeping himself nice, and he started drifting away from that. And I know when he was young, he used to have a lot of behavior problems, and I think that was a lot because he didn't have his dad.
Mhm.
Because he was diagnosed ADHD, and then as he got older, he was diagnosed again. But like I said, he always had, when he had a job, he had a life. He did well. But like I said, when he died, that's when I really saw a decline in his health and who the person he became.
I know this is
Mhm.
hindsight 2020 or whatever you want to call it, but were there ever moments in you guys' life, the father of your son, that you share with him, and what was happening with his son, and what was his take on it? Because to me, most people, let me see. I can phrase this the right way. some people would say that maybe some women don't do their part in really allowing the father to be a more constructive in the child's life. But you said that wasn't the case here. What was his
You know,
reasons for not wanting to connect sooner with him outside of the incarceration? Because he clearly had enough time prior to the incarceration, which the incarceration added more distance, and then you're about ready. You don't know what's about to happen. I'm pretty sure he didn't go to work thinking that he was going to go into a coma off some medication. But
mhm.
what was some of the conversation that you and him had, the father, to get him involved and to basically be that role model for your son?
He wanted to be a part of his life. Sometimes he would call me and I would give my son the phone. He would never want to talk to him. So it was several years he didn't want to talk to him because he had a lot of um anger because he said he wasn't there and he wanted to know why he wasn't there. And I always talked to him and told him, what happened between us. And, he still tried to make contact, but he still didn't. For a long time, he held grudges and he didn't want to be a part of it. He wanted to talk to him. When I would get the phone, I hang up on him. He didn't want to talk to him for a long time.
So your son shared with
So he,
you his resentment for his father not being there. How did that
mhm.
make you feel? Like him him
It
dumping
hurt.
the load on you?
Yep, it hurt me because he said, why would he get in trouble knowing that he has a child? You have a small child. Why would you get in trouble? So he was mad about that. He said he shouldn't have never got in trouble knowing he had a son, had a small child, which
How
he
do
was
you
right.
how do you tell your son that? How do you answer that question to your son?
I told him, I'm so sorry. I wasn't aware of everything that went down. I apologize for him. I always apologize for. I didn't ever try to tell him anything negative about him, but I always let him make his own decision on what he saw about his dad. Um, but I always apologize. I always was there for him. I always just try to do everything I could for him because I know he can have his dad.
Mm.
I've been blessed with people at church, different guys that have been part of his life. I thank God for them, but it still was not the same as having his dad. Mhm.
How do you and your sons, because it's not just one, you have two sons, but the one that's in his 32, I believe, it's affecting
Mhm.
him at a higher level. How do you move on?
Mhm.
He just recently passed. How do you repair the wounds, or can the wounds even be repaired at this point?
You know what, Andre, what I do, I pray, I ask God to help me because a lot of this stuff I know I would have lost my mind on a lot of things, but He has kept me because I promise you, people will just be talking to be talking, but I tell you, I know God has kept me. He's been there for us
Mhm.
because a lot of times I ain't have no one. I ain't have nobody but God because family members, they were there for a season and then they weren't.
Mhm.
So I ain't have nobody but God. I ain't have nobody to depend on but Him. And that's how we've gotten as far as we are today. I couldn't have done it on my own because a lot of times people are not there. They'll say they'll be there, but they won't be there.
What about your son? Both of them. Let's talk about the one that is amplified the most, and then let's talk about the oldest. How are they adjusting to what's happening?
He actually, my oldest son, he's married. He has 4 children. They moved to Macon, Georgia. He loves him, but cause he trying to, I guess, keep with his family. He's not really in his life. So for a while, I used to get mad because he was not a part of his life or with him, like I would like him to be. But I went on, I forgave it. I went on because I know he has a family. So I left it alone. But we do go to Macon and visit. We do go to visit them at times.
How's the youngest son doing now? Is he better? Is he doing treatment? What's his way, or what is you guys' way of making sure that he's safe now that he can continue his journey with the loss of his father and not have survival remorse?
Oh my gosh. I just keep praying, but I ask him when he want to talk about it, if he want to, open up to me, if it's something he want to say it, but he was like, he just wished he had his dad now, because he had the regrets that the time when he really was reaching out to him, he didn't want to be, a part of him. And I think that was a lot of it. But I just told him, I just forgive you. You just got to forgive yourself. At least y'all did talk. Y'all get a chance to talk on the phone a couple of times, even when you was mad, but he still reached out, tried to reach out to him. But yeah, that's how I try to do, because he'll always, I don't, like I said, I've never talked bad about his dad. I always let him see his dad for what he was himself. Like, unlike some women, they'll just go off on him, and I ain't ever do that. I always let him saw his dad himself. I've never done that.
Are there resources in Albany, Georgia to help with situations like this, crisis of um, abandonment issues, especially as it deals with men? You usually hear that on the female side, but are there any resources in Albany, Georgia that can help you in your quest to make sure your family is mentally sound?
What only thing they have here, Andre, they have what they call a 1013, where they can call like the sheriff department, and they can take them to crisis, and they can give them treatment, but it's temporary treatment. It's never treatment that will last. To really, they just stabilize them basically. So it don't keep them with medicine all the time. It just only stabilizes them for that moment. And Albany does not have, that's the sad thing, we don't have a lot. They actually, before COVID, I was told they shut down a lot of the mental health facilities before COVID. Why, I don't know.
How does that make you feel, knowing that these are issues that are taking place in your house now? A lot of times people don't become proactive in the community unless it's impacted within their house.
Right.
How does that make you feel now, knowing that you guys are limited on resources and this is an ongoing situation in your household?
Sometimes it makes me want to move somewhere else and seek resources elsewhere, because I felt like Albany should have more than what we have. And even with the new judge that we have in probate, she's tough. We had another judge that died from COVID. Now, Judge Stevenson, she was a good judge. She was very good. She helped me out a lot. But we have a new one now, and she's hard. So it's hard to get help from her.
I hope that resources will come your way to make life easier for you and your son through this difficult part of your life.
Thank you.
Let's talk about things that you've done now. We seen you be the Mother Teresa in your household and to the community, but you've done some pretty remarkable things despite going through these yo-yo type effects of life. You went back to school at 50 some years old and got your degree.
Yes, sir. I went back.
What made you do that? Just with all that you got going on?
Because I just felt like I had nothing wrong with Ross. I had been working for Ross Dress for Less for 12 years, but I just felt like I needed something for me, something that I can do, something that I can say that I accomplished. So I went back to college and I did well, and I graduated. So I'm currently working in the field that I graduated from.
What field is that?
I actually work for a podiatrist. We deal with the feet, but I am a certified medical assistant. So I went back to school for that.
How did that make you feel going back and knowing the challenges?
Oh my gosh, it was wonderful, because I know when we had our pinning ceremony, my oldest son came, and one of my sisters came, and they were very proud. That made me feel good to know they were proud of my accomplishment, and I really appreciate them coming, because that made me feel good.
How did you manage to maneuver all of these things to get your degree, knowing that you're dealing with stuff in your house, you dealing with your other son, you're trying to, how did you manage to do all this? I mean,
I tell you, first of all, Andre, I prayed, and then I had a good talk with him. I told him, I said, because I need you to be home now, because he don't wander. He'll be at home when I'm there. I just make sure he have everything he needs there when I have to go to school or go to work. But he would always, I told him, I said, this is something I want, and I need you to be proactive. I need you to work with mama because I need this. This is something I need for me. And it worked out. It worked out. Mhm.
Let's talk about this other journey that you embarked on that seems to be flourishing like crazy, modeling. Is that something you always wanted to do?
Oh, yes, sir. Life happened. I think after high school, you know how your mind is not totally made up. You're still partying with friends. You're still trying to find yourself. And I think that's how I got off on that foot. I didn't really go, I wanted it when I graduated, but I didn't pursue it right then. And then years later, of course, naturally, I had my first child. And then, so that put a stun on it for a while. They had to put a fork in it. I always had it in my mind, and it was a desire. But I just kind of like let other things got in the way. I had it on my mind when I graduated, but then I didn't pursue it right then. I was with my girlfriends partying and doing what young people do when you graduate.
Hey. We didn't do that at Doherty High School. We was academically sound at our school.
Yes, sir.
Monroe, you guys must have partied every week, every Friday and Saturday, huh?
I think it was probably Fridays and Saturdays because they had the football games, and then of course they had the parties. You know, the guys, the famous guys, the football players. You know, they would have parties at their homes, so we would go to those too. So that was what my life was consist of. Then my mind just I didn't think about it no more anymore until I had my second child, and then it came back to me again. And then I started doing. I started going to Lithonia, doing a lot of photo shoots, doing fashion shows, doing things. Cause Albany don't have any of that. I've done little stuff here, but they don't have what Atlanta has.
What were the obstacles that you had to deal with, despite your age, probably being one of them?
Oh my gosh, yes. Because I have applied to a couple of model agencies, but they enjoyed, said my pictures and everything were good, but my age, that had a lot to do with it. And then I had one company that told me, well, it shouldn't be a barrier, but I ain't ever hear from them again. So, but I still kept on because I know I have researched and saw models 60, 70 years old that are modeling.
Mhm.
So I didn't feel like you're never too old if it's still in your heart. I feel like you can still do it.
What was it like with your first opportunity as a model? You've done some fashion shows, you've done certain events. What was that like when you first got your first opportunity, knowing that doors were not accessible because of the age or because of your region where you're located at? But when you did get these opportunities, what's that like for you?
It was so nice because when I remember I did my first photo shoot, and I did it in Atlanta, and there were about, I think, 30 women, 30 other young ladies there too as well. They just trying to pick who they were going to pick, for the gig that they had, but it turned out it was 5 other people they ended up picking out of us 30, but it was a great experience because at least I felt like somebody wanted to, saw something in me that they wanted to give me a chance, you know, and I appreciate that, but like I say, Atlanta has way more opportunities than Albany. Albany don't have anything, a
Who,
whole lot of that here.
who's your biggest supporter right now? You're at that tender age where, let's call it what it is. You're having fun. It's
Mm-hmm.
no longer work. You're having fun. Who's your biggest supporters right now?
I'm gonna tell you this, Andre. It's a gentleman by the name of Melvin Benton. He is always encouraged me. One day this is gonna happen. One day and I'm talking about, he's just a friend. He's
Right.
nobody that I dated or anything, just somebody encouraged me. One of these days you watch, you're gonna do this. He always do that. He's always done that. More than a family member. A friend, I was just shocked. He's my cheerleader. Melvin Benton, that's his name. He
with
really is.
with so many great things unfolding in front of you,
Mhm.
what have you learned from all of this? What, like you're dealing your son is on the road to recovery, but not recovery from drugs, but just recovering health wise. You
Yes, sir.
are recovering health wise. Let's call it what is emotionally.
Yeah. Yes. Yes, sir.
what are some of the things that you've learned from this whole journey so far?
Oh my gosh. I've learned who truly had my back. I learned the true people who were there for me. I learned that you just gotta, sometimes you go through a whole lot, but you just gotta pick yourself up on and keep going, because I just feel like somebody's gonna come behind me going through the same thing that I've been through. And I'll be able to tell them how I, handled it. So I just try to keep on going because I gotta be strong for him. If I feel like if I break down, then he don't feel like he don't have nothing. So
Right.
I have to stay strong for him. If nobody else, I try to stay strong for him. I have to be.
When you hear a lot of let me rephrase this. We don't hear a lot of this type of incidents happening, but it goes on every single day where
Absolutely.
where a mother and a father and a child, there's a disconnect. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
times it becomes a whole scenario of different things, from parent alienations to bad mouthing the parents, to there's always these roller coaster excuses, the
Right,
courts that is not allowing the father to be part of the child's life, the mom figuring that she has to take the child, the dad to court, and just all of this yo-yo back and forth. This is usually the end result.
right.
What would you tell a young couple or young kids today, both male and female, that they don't, to avoid these pitfalls that happened to you and your son, and the reconnect and the disconnect that later now resurfaced to where now he has to start all over again because of the resentment that he had, knowing that you didn't
Right,
say anything negative about his father. But
right.
what would you tell a younger person now, both male and female?
I would say, as parents, even as adults, we all make mistakes. Try to, if you have a dad or a mom, even sometimes some men, they take on the role and they'll raise a child and the mother's not there. If they're there and they still want to be in your life, let them be in your life. You don't want to be you don't want to live with regret, because I believe that's a lot of my son. He has a lot of regret,
Mm.
and you just don't want, you want to just forgive them and move on. If they want to be a part of your life, let them be a part of your life. Try to forget about the past and start fresh today. If they want to start today, then start today. Forget about the yesterday and start today. That's what I would say.
You know what? This show is all about that beast mindset.
Mhm.
Truly, my homegirl is resonating that beast mindset. My hats off to you for overcoming, for going after what your passion is, for staying strong for your sons. My deepest sympathy goes out for the loss of your child's father, but you're definitely making an impact. You know what your passion is. That's that
Yes, sir.
beast mindset. What keeps you going before we wrap up? What keeps that beast
Uh,
mindset?
I tell you, because I still have a goal I have to reach. I still believe, even before the recording, I came in here and I prayed. And I said, because I've been praying for a door to open in this area, because this is something I want to do before I leave here. It's something, and I just want to see something happen. I don't have to go to Hollywood, but I want God to do something, in that area for me, just for me,
Is
you
that your
know.
what they call it down south? Is that your prayer room or your war room?
Yes, yes, sir. Hmm.
Okay, okay. People tell the viewers what that is. A lot of people don't know what that is.
A prayer room is a place where you go to pray at. I actually this is actually at my church, and we have a what they call a prayer tower. I come in here and I pray about different issues of the church, and then I also pray about my situation. But it's only certain people have access codes to come in here and pray. So I do. I come in here and I pray about things at church, and I pray about my personal situation and others as well.
Mm, mm, mm. Jennifer, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show and share such an extraordinary journey of triumph and going after what you want. I'm gonna have to come back to Albany, Georgia. When I come back to Albany and visit, I'm gonna make sure I reach out to you. We're not going to Jimmy
Please.
Hot Dogs. I'm telling you that right now.
Okay, that's fine.
Not going to
That's fine.
Jimmy Hot Dogs, but we'll find somewhere to go eat. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Thank you for having me. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank
I
you.
appreciate you too. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been another exciting episode of the Andre the Beast Crayton Show.